Hi, this is Valerie Guillaume. Welcome to another one of my videos. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what it's like to face persecution in Canada. I just did one video a few days ago, and I'm doing this one just a few days later, because you know what? Being a persecuted person, facing political persecution, basically for exercising my rights to freedom of speech, as a blogger in Canada, has subjected me to certain crimes that this government has perpetrated against me under various human rights international laws, such as the Rome Statute, which falls under the Criminal Code, International Criminal Code, and which further falls under crimes against humanity. Under that category, I would say that I'm facing torture by the Canadian government, psychological torture. So in my last video, I spoke about what the discrimination and the corruption that I face from the Landlord and Tenant Board, and how I was set up there. I was really set up by the board. Basically, the goal of my enemies, which is the Canadian authorities, is to cause me to be homeless. That's one of their tactics. That's one of the most frequent tactics that they use against me. So I mentioned a few days ago in one of my videos how I was displaced by the city through the Toronto Fire Services. And everybody knows that the fire services is part of the city division, no matter what city that is. So there's a plan in place that if you're displaced by the fire services, that excuse me, there's a coordinated effort by various city divisions and various other agencies that work together to temporarily house those people who are displaced, who can't go back into their home for safety reasons, which would be my case at this time. So, but keep in mind that everything was a conspiracy. And I know you people are saying, oh, she's always talking about conspiracy, blah, 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 but that's really the case. Because every opportunity this government gets, it carries out certain kind of human rights atrocities against me. So I was displaced by the fire services, Toronto Fire Services, and I had to contact the Red Cross because they did not go with their mandate, which is to work with various city divisions and the landlord to make sure that those people that they say can't go back into their home find some kind of temporary accommodation. So one of the agencies that I contacted was the Red Cross. So I am reporting in this video today how corrupt those low-level Red Cross staff are, and how they were working with the hotel that they have temporarily allowed me to stay at, the Quality Inn Hotel on Islington Avenue in Toronto, 2180 Islington Avenue, Toronto, and how I had to really fight to enforce my rights. They have many people staying at that hotel, refugees, or the displaced people from, say, the subsidized housing places, TCHC, Toronto Community Housing. Lots of people there have been displaced by the city, so they're staying there. I've been displaced by the fire services, so the Red Cross allowed me to stay there. But they harassed me. There's several of these Red Cross staff, Kevin, Angelo, someone named Melanie, Christine. These are low-level staffs, and they were harassing me on a daily basis. And you would think the Red Cross is an organization, international organization, that's funded not only by the government but also by the public. So it receives both private and government funding. One of their biggest funders is the United Way, and I believe the Red Cross is just about the um, only agency that really gets the majority of funding from the United Way. And of course, you know, the United Way gets that donation from the public in various ways. So here you have this charitable organization working actively to put me back on the street by putting the blame on the hotel, and then the hotel is putting the blame on the Red Cross. But really, all of this started when I mentioned in the video that I just posted a few days ago, oh, you know what, the Toronto Fire Service is not assisting me, but the Red Cross is assisting me. The very day that I put that video up was the very day that the harassment started. And this hotel, the Quality Inn Hotel, has so much problem. I've seen so much discrimination against people at this hotel, mainly based on social status. And it's so appalling. But one of the main areas of discrimination I see at the hotel is against those displaced persons from the Toronto Community Housing who are staying here. And they are treated differently. They are not given the same kind of food to eat. For example, if they don't eat meat, there's no vegetarian meal prepared for them. There's so many things that I've seen here, and I just, even though I'm focused on human rights, I've decided just to observe and then talk about it at a later time. Because I am really fighting for my own situation right now. Because, for instance, to show you how much gang stalking and targeting of individuals who are persecuted does not stop. Last night, one of the guests had to actually help me because they began to bang over my head with a hammer, right over my head. And so the guest next door, and I'd called down to the front desk and they were ignoring it. They also cut off the internet in the room, and other people can get in. The internet is very bad at this hotel, but mine is zero. And I'm too busy to do anything on the internet other than whatever work that I'm doing. But it's a huge inconvenience. And they were harassing me with that, cut off the internet while my neighbors can get internet. So my neighbor, another guest, he and his girlfriend were able to stand outside my door and listen to the banging above my head at this hotel, Quality Inn Hotel. Now, imagine a hotel carrying out this kind of targeting and harassment. So he decided to follow me downstairs to the front desk and said, listen, we can hear like a hammer banging outside, standing outside this person's door, and we can hear like a hammer. And I know the manager is involved. And so immediately, once he realized that someone else is in on the secret now, he says, oh, I will go upstairs and speak to the person. And once he realized that other guests are aware that they're carrying out this targeting of me at the hotel, then the banging noise stopped. And my neighbor, God bless his soul, was told them, listen, this is like a hammer banging over this woman's head. I can stand outside her door. So they were carrying out this targeting of me in this hotel, and they're still doing that. And when I went downstairs, there was this guy standing there, and I could swear that's either CSIS or a plainclothes cop. He had on jeans and, you know, the normal attire for undercover agents. And he was giving me the most evil look. And just by the way he was looking at me, I knew that he was not a normal guest of the hotel, and I knew that he probably had something to do with the harassment that I was facing. So that's part of it. The other part is this government, police, intelligence agency working with this charitable organization, the Red Cross, to basically force me out on the street. So I've had to fight them, you know, and really stand up for my rights. And they're asking me questions like, where do you know about this? And how do you know all these things? And I'm like, you know, I make it my business to know. And this video may not interest a lot of people, but For those who are being targeted, this video is mainly for you. And if you can learn something from my experience, by all means, continue to watch this video. But yeah, if you're a targeted individual, you get no break. You're followed everywhere you go. These people are not satisfied that they forced me out of my home and that then they put it so that I cannot return to the home. I was asked to leave immediately, and they were citing that it's an immediate danger to my life, which they had no proof of that. But if it's from the fire services, they have under certain regulations that they have, they can remove you from your home if they feel that you're in immediate danger from a fire. So they use that. And remember that the Toronto Fire Services sat on the complaint from the tenant, myself, in regards to no smoke detectors and things like that for a whole week and did not respond to that. Now they want to say, oh, you're in immediate danger. No, it was retaliation. It was reprisal. So they wanted to see me out on the street. Once they realized that the Red Cross was assisting me, then they got to Red Cross and tried to force them to say, push her out on the street. So the whole thing is that if you're displaced by the city through whatever division, the city has this mandate. You're displaced by the government. It's the government responsibility to make sure that you have temporary accommodation. And so anyone else who's looking at this video and you're put in this situation, contact your city council. If you're asked by the Toronto Fire Services that you have to leave your home immediately and you can only go back for clothes, whatever, you have a right for them to place you in temporary accommodation and not for you to be sleeping on the street, because you can't go back into your home because of fire, flooding, bed bugs. There's a lot of problem at TCHC. I don't even know what caused these displaced persons.